Hey there, friend. Welcome to the Living Well-Rounded podcast, a curated space for those of us seeking an intentional life filled with grace, passion, and purpose. I'm your hostess, Geomyra, wife, mama, life and biz coach, educator, dessert fanatic, and on the ultimate mission to get you closer to your idea of what it means to live well-rounded. Right here's where you'll find exceptional resources, noteworthy tips, community, and relatable stories, no matter what season of life you're in. Take a break, cozy up, hang out with me for a bit, and let's dive in. Hey there, Well-Rounder. Welcome back to the Living Well-Rounded podcast. I'm your hostess, Geomyra, and I am thrilled to have a guest joining me for today's show. Our guest, Jessica Rasdall, is truly someone that I know you are going to find inspiring. I've heard her speak on many occasions, and she always encourages me to step into my story and share my life lessons, stumbles, and all the things. Before we welcome Jessica to the mic, I want you to hit pause, screenshot, and share over on IG so that I know that you are tuned in and hanging with us. Formerly, I was at Coach for Creatives, but I am now officially I Am Living Well-Rounded on IG. Again, that is at I Am Living Well-Rounded. And you can find our guest Jessica over on IG as at Jessica Rasdall. All right, so now that I know you are here and you are ready to listen in, let me take a second to read Jessica's pretty impressive bio before she joins the conversation. Named one of the top small business experts to watch in 2018 and the founder of one of the top websites for solopreneurs in 2020, Jessica Rasdall is helping small business owners scale their impact and income through tried and tested communication strategies. As a best-selling author, motivational speaker, host of the Speak to Scale podcast, Jessica partners with small business owners to help them scale their business and impact from the stage. Jessica has shared her story of turning her mess into a message for 15 years and has been featured on major international media outlets such as ABC's 2020, Katie Couric, The Guardian, MTV, Netflix, and many more. Today, Jessica is fiercely dedicated to helping small business owners craft presentations and speaking strategies that connect with their audience and scale their business from the stage. When she's not handcrafting presentations for industry experts, she's homeschooling her children in sunny Florida. She is very impressive. So without further ado, let's welcome Jessica to our podcast, friend. Hey there, Jessica. Welcome to Living Well-Rounded. How are you doing today?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. I'm so excited to chat.
Me too. So interestingly enough, Jessica, our paths have crossed on several occasions. However, we have yet to have one-on-one time. So I'm excited to spend some time with you today and really get to just dive in and hear more about your story. So before we get started, how about you introduce yourself to our well-rounders?
Yeah, well, hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here, be a part of this community. My name is Jessica Rasdall, and I am a public speaking strategist for small business owners. So I partner with small business owners, really women in leadership as well, who are wanting to use their story, use their message, use public speaking as a way to increase their impact and grow the great work they're already doing in their company. But really, I'm a mama first. We are a homeschooling family. I like to say like we were homeschooling before it was a thing, before that was like the trend. So if you hear any screaming in the background, it's totally fine. It's just my three-nager and my almost 8-year-old. But yeah, mama first and then business.
I love it. And that is exactly the type of people that are in this community where family is always going to be first. And so it's just awesome that you can run your business, be hands-on with the educational component, and then still do, what you love, which is always awesome. And so you mentioned that you are a public speaking strategist, and you're one of the few that I know. So it's an interesting job. So can you elaborate a little bit more about what that looks like on a day-to-day and for your community?
Yes, I know people are always like, so wait, what? You're a speaker? I'm like, yeah, but and a speaker. And so for me, that means, a lot of us as business owners, we're like really good at what we do, right? We know that like our products are amazing, our services are amazing. We can help people so well, but we are so close to our work that we're not always really good about talking about it. We're not very good. We maybe get uncomfortable when it comes time to get on a podcast interview, or when there's an opportunity for us to speak on a stage or a summit, or to even just speak up at a networking event. So what we do is we work with business owners to help them figure out how can we use those platforms, those stages, our voice to really be an extension of the work we're already doing, not some other thing on the side. So figuring out, like, based on your unique business, what are the things you should be speaking about? What are the topics that are going to be a great extension of your business, so that when somebody hears you for the first time on a podcast or in the audience, that they're like, wow, this is somebody that I really connect with, that I want to know more about. And they flow effortlessly back into your offers, to your products, to your services, that speaking becomes an extension of your marketing activity and it works for you to reach your goals.
I love that. And you have some amazing clients that I'm also familiar with in the creative space. So obviously you are the real deal and you know what you're doing. And so, Jessica, I wanted to know, how did you fall into your role as a public speaking strategist?
Oh my gosh, it's such a wild story. And yes, I do have the best clients in the whole wide world, and I will just die on that hill and fight anybody over that. I do. I'm always like the secret sauce behind the scenes of probably most of the speakers you've heard. And and I like to keep it that way. I like to be the secret sauce, but I didn't get into this industry, like most people. I didn't take some brave leap and leave my corporate job to go out on my own. I don't have that story. Speaking was something that I fell into, and I was um, a freshman in college, and I had all the hopes and dreams for my future. I didn't know what I was going to do, but business was always in my mind. I've like played business as a kid. I went to college on a business scholarship. I was obsessed with it. And I just envisioned I would do the traditional plan that, everybody did when I was growing up. You go to college, you got your degree, and you'd sit in some office until it was time to retire. And my freshman year of college, I threw that all away in one night. And I was the driver in a fatal car accident that claimed the life of my best friend who I had known since I was 5. And it nearly took my own life. In a matter of moments, I went from worrying about midterms and what I was majoring in and upcoming exams to wondering, how was I going to live with myself for the rest of my life? And how would I do this without her? And I just didn't know. I was just like paralyzed in this moment, physically and just emotionally. And once I came home from the hospital and I started to realize I had just graduated from high school. I was not even 19 yet. I had just graduated and it was about to be prom time. And I reached out to the principal of the school I just graduated from, and I asked him, I was like, can I come talk to your seniors before prom? I was like, I don't know what I'm going to say to them, but I'm really feel like I'm supposed to be there. Like I hear the voice. I know that's the room I'm supposed to be in. There is something I'm supposed to say to them. And he let me come. Why, I don't know, but he did. And I got up on the stage in front of people that I knew. Like, these were kids I had walked the halls with. These are teachers that I had had. And I was sharing with them the most vulnerable night of my life and the decisions that Laura and I made and the results of that, and just hopes that these kids wouldn't repeat the mistake I made, that they would take better care of their friends. They would make better choices than I did. And that maybe this was the reason that I made it out of the car. And nothing happened that year. No kids got in trouble. There were no incidents. And we were flooded with phone calls from parents and gratitude. And I really started to realize, like, that while I would never feel like there was a reason for her being gone, that maybe there was a reason I made it out, because all signs pointed to I should not have made it. It was literally inches from, there's really only inches of is the reason why that I was alive. And I started speaking everywhere they would have me. Any school, any platform, any group. I was on a mission. Like, I could see it, and I could see the difference being made. And I did that for over 10 years. And for me, speaking was not about standing in the spotlight. It wasn't about recognition. It was about taking the most painful moment and turning it into something that could save or change somebody else's life. And I saw that impact. And as I started moving into the business space and the like coaching space and working with individuals to make their lives better, I attended my first creative conference. And at that time, I wasn't working on speaking. I was helping business owners share their stories, because one thing I'd gotten really good at over these years was taking a difficult story and sharing it in a way that could serve someone else. And I remember going to this conference and realizing this was the first time I was at an industry event. And I realized, wow, all of these business owners that I looked up to and that I just felt like there was no reason I should be in this room, although they were so good at their craft, they had no idea how to translate that to the stage. And I was like, maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, this is how I can support the business community in the same way that I was supporting those high school students, because I wasn't getting any younger. I was not going to be as relatable to those teens as I had been. And through the last, my goodness, 7, 8 years now, that has been my full obsession, spending every single day working with business owners to pull out their stories and their business mission and figuring out what stages they should be on and what should they be sharing. And at the end of the day, how can they leave their audience better than they found them?
That's so good. And I'm familiar with your story and the journey you've been on. So it's just amazing how you have also turned what we call a mess into a message, or a test into a testimony. And so I just think it's just great that you were able to see so young that you did have a purpose, and you could see it and visualize it, and just know that instead of crawling in the bed and feeling sorry for yourself, okay, I'm going to have my friend's legacy mean something and continue to share about her. And so that hopes that people would just, do better, but also use their gifts. And so personally, I just wanted to know, what blessings have you experienced as a result of sharing your journey authentically?
Ooh, I get goosebumps when you say all that. Cause like there were many days, right, where I'd wake up and not want to do this, where it would have been easier not to. It would have been easier to crawl in bed and feel sorry, just like you said. And for me, I would always think, like, I have an option. I get to make that choice, and Laura does not. And how dare I throw in the towel or give up when things got hard and she didn't get a chance to start? And for me, that has been like the steady driving force. And I don't think there is even a way to measure the blessings that have come through all of this, but I have met the most incredible people. And when you share your own story, you open the door for somebody else to share theirs with you. And the amount of stories that I have gotten to hear over the year, the amount of people who have opened up, and to witness them step into their truth and to the impact that they're making on the world, like, that doesn't get old. It does not get old. And I think that's what keeps me, not that I'm brave, but it keeps me getting out there and sharing my own story, and knowing that we never know who's watching. We never know who's listening. We never know who's on the fence of stepping into that moment for themselves. And we might just be the thing that they need to take the next step.
Oh, I love that so much. And that is so true. I always say you just never know who's listening when you do have a platform like a podcast, when we show up on social media, that your words can change someone's lives just by them being in the right place at the right time. So that's so good. And one thing that you say often is, you can do great work in the world and still provide the life your family deserves, which I love, because that is the essence of this whole Living Well-Rounded thing that we have going here. And so some may ask, how is that even possible? And so I want to know your thoughts there on how is it that we can just do great work, provide for our family, share our stories, and all the things.
Well, I mean, you gotta have a real business. You gotta say that. Like, I think it's easy to to get into business and feel like it's fun, but if we're not treating it as a business, if we don't look at the numbers. Like there's no way it can provide for your family. And if you're worried about a roof over your head, there's no way you're going to have the capacity to give to others. And this is not something that has always come easy to me. I struggled with this a lot in the beginning, especially because like when I started speaking, I was not doing this to make money. I spent my entire college savings so that I could go out and travel and do these presentations because it just mattered so much to me. I knew my time was limited. I wanted to do this. I was on a mission. And when I got to a place in life when I started having a family of my own and other people to care about, and I really started to realize like, I didn't want this to be a this or that. I wanted it to be an and, right? I didn't want it to be speaking and making a difference or having a family and providing for them. I wanted it to be speaking and making a difference and having a family and providing for them. And I remember my mentor years and years ago at the moment, like when I was trying to get myself out of my own head to go from like unpaid speaking to paid speaking, that he just looked at me and was like, why do you think that charging for your presentation waters down your message? I was like, oh, I don't know why. Why do I think that? Like that somehow if I received a check for the work that I was doing, that message was no longer valuable. Like that was wild that I like had come up with that in my head. Right. And it was him showing me through his examples of like how he was able to charge for his presentations. And that only made him a better speaker, right? That only made him more secure about his household and his children and his family. And I was like, that's the way I want my life to be. I want to feel so confident that everything is secure at home, that everybody is taken care of, that when I go step on that stage, I have everything that I need and I'm full. That allows me to pour into them even more, to stay longer, to give them extra, to over deliver. And I think if we are coming from a place of struggle or feeling like it's only good work if we're not receiving anything in return, it becomes a one-sided equation and it's not good for anybody. Maybe it works for a little bit, but not for the long haul.
I totally agree there. Totally agree. And it's such an important point you just made. I have clients too that they don't want to charge more for their services. They're terrified that people are going to look at them funny or crazy because they need to provide for their families. And I'm like, if your stuff is legit, it's the real deal, you know what you're doing, then there is someone else getting paid to do, way less than you're doing, and they're not as gifted as you are. And so you're doing yourself a disservice and straight up taking money out of your household, food out of your kids' mouths if you don't step up and then step into the spotlight of where you actually need to be operating in your zone of genius and charging the right amount of money for it in the process. So
right? It's like there's a dollar amount that we have to make to keep the lights on, right? There is a bare minimum, and it's, well, does that bare minimum mean you're going to have to work 60 hours a week and not see your kids to make the bare minimum? Or are you going to raise your prices and work 20 hours a week and spend more time with your kids?
right.
It's hard, but for me, it's like, I have to see the numbers. I need to look at that because otherwise my emotions will cloud everything else.
Got to know your numbers. That is such a great business tip right there. Know your numbers and just step up and step into the spotlight and shine. And then, you'll be able to take care of your family and do the work that you love, which is amazing.
And I think sometimes we can get fixated on like, well, does that mean I can't do unpaid work? I can't do charity work. I can't do pro bono. No, it's those larger contracts, those bigger clients, the larger package that gives you the space to be able to say yes to the unpaid opportunities, to say yes to the donation, to the charity. And you don't have the space to do those things if you're worried about meeting the bottom line.
That is so true. And you can do both. You can serve different audiences and do all the things if you plan it and make sure that, I always say, make it make sense. It's got to make sense before you commit to it. And then, before you move forward, especially as we're getting into a new year coming up. And so this is a great opportunity for people to start to know their numbers and to figure out how they're going to spend their time in their business and in their home so that they can live well-rounded and so that they can do their best work. So perfect timing for your message, for sure. And so one of the things, I know there's someone listening, they're like, all right, I know I have a message, I know I have a purpose, I'm passionate about something. What are some steps or things you can think of, Jessica, where you can provide some insight on how one can capitalize from their message, purpose, and all the things?
Yes, absolutely. So I think the first thing is to get really clear on, is this message that you're feeling called to share, is it a part of your business or not? Like, we need to be very upfront about that from the beginning, because there's two different types of, well, there's technically three different types of speaking in my book, but the first one, I refer to it as tier one. This is where we are speaking to build brand awareness, to be seen as the go-to expert in our industry, to just get our name out there. And if that's the kind of speaking, if that's what's most important to your business, if visibility is really important, then you need to look at it as a marketing activity, that it's not something that's going to like pay you the big bucks to speak, but it is going to get you that reach for your business. Or if you're somebody who's saying, no, for me, I really want speaking to help me get new clients, make more sales. I want to be strategic with this. Then you're more of that tier two type of speaker. And for you, you have to be very specific about getting in front of the right audience. So knowing who are my clients and where are they hanging out, and committing to only speaking in front of that type of person. Because even if you give the best presentation in front of the wrong group, you're not going to get those conversions you want. And then that third type, tier three, is more for those of us who we have a message to share outside of our business. Maybe it's more of a personal story, like how I started. That's your traditional, like motivational speaking, professional speaking. And if that's something you want to do, that's not where we want to like kind of detach the business side of that, where you're getting paid upfront for your time to deliver the presentation. And in that capacity, you need to get crystal clear and define, when I share this message, what difference am I making for the audience? Because people don't just book and pay speakers to share stories. Like you mentioned earlier, there's plenty of people willing to do it for free or for less, and they will. The only way you're going to be able to make that work for you and make an income from that is by saying, this is the difference I will provide for your audience when I come in. People pay for transformations, not just stories. So I think the most important part is to figure out, how do you want to use your voice in your business? Is it for brand awareness? If it's brand awareness, you got to like stay in your lane and only speak on your topic. If you want to be known as the go-to CPA for creatives, don't talk about social media, right? When you're going on podcasts, talk about numbers. For if you're in phase two and you want to make conversions, make sure you're speaking on stages or getting on podcasts in front of your people, the ones you designed your offer for. And if you want to use speaking as like a booked and paid, make sure you're clear on that transformation.
Oh, those are so good. And as you were going through the different tiers, I was thinking about, okay, sometimes podcasts, when you're a guest, that raises awareness. And then tier two, when you are speaking at certain conferences or in certain Facebook groups, like I'm like putting it all together on where I speak and the impact that it brings for my business and where the revenue comes in. And so I love the idea of using speaking as a marketing tactic as well. So I'm already doing the work.
Yes.
I'm already doing the work in my head, because I see exactly what you're saying, because I've been in all those different buckets. So it's
so important. There's exactly what you just illustrated, that it's not one and done, right? It's not like, well, I only do this kind, but being able to look at each opportunity and say, how does make it make sense, right? And it's like, how does this opportunity fit my business right now? Like, how does this benefit me? How do I benefit them? How do we make this a two-way street? And when you can get clear on that, it makes it easier to know how to show up, instead of just saying, well, I'm speaking, so it should work.
Right. And your audiences change. Like I speak to, creatives, but then I also have corporate clients. And so I have to shift my message so that it resonates and it's applicable to the different audiences. And it's not just a one and done. So it's always evolving and progressing, which is a beautiful thing, because things don't get stale or boring as we grow and move into different spaces.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want you to do me a favor and think about your younger self. And, we kind of talked about some of your darkest moments, but I'm curious to know, what advice would you give young Jessica when you were in those spaces? Because I feel pretty confident that there is someone that is listening who may feel like their message doesn't matter or their gifts, they don't matter. And so I really want to hear just some advice you would have for someone that may be in a similar situation.
Absolutely. In those times, like, especially when we can't see the impact we're making. Like, there were so many times, like, I didn't know if this was working or not. I didn't know until we, heard from people years later. Like, I didn't know if it would all work out. And there were a lot of people who did not want me talking about this, like, who just wanted me to give up. And like you said, go hide in my bed and feel sorry for myself. And there were a lot of days where I felt like, well, maybe that's what I should be doing. Right. Like, and I kept thinking, what if in 10 years from now, like this was in 10 years from now, if I look back and I didn't make an impact on anybody, will I feel bad that I did this? Probably not. Right. But if I look back in 10 years and I could have made a huge impact and I didn't, would I feel bad? And I was like, I will, because I can't go back. And if I could speak to myself in those moments of doubt and wondering, like, is this even helping anybody? Is this going to help me? Is this hurting me more than it's helping? To just keep going. Because there were going to be things that might take a very long time to see the results for, but they would be so beyond worth it.
That is so true. It's the idea that you can't go back and change things. So just why not just go
it's just like, well, I could like stop doing all this and people wouldn't be mad anymore. Or that was kind of my thought too, of like, what if in 10 years as people come back around and they're like, you probably should have done that. Like, you should do it now. It would have been too late.
Yeah.
And it's like, can I deal with the criticism at the risk of like people not liking me so that I could maybe transform thousands of lives? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I can deal with the criticism.
Yeah, because I'm sure there are countless number of people whose lives you impacted that you would never even know, who were afraid to speak up or to admit that. So just knowing that you did make an impact is a beautiful thing.
Right. And I think so often we try to measure, we try to quantify the difference we're making and if things are working. And yes, I love the numbers, they're great, but I always have to think about, like, if we're able, like, I think of like an iceberg, like what we see on top of water, like that's the measurable impact, but under the water, that much bigger piece of ice, like that's the ripple effect of the difference we've made. Those are the people who've heard our story and not just had their impact, but then they told 5 other people who then it impacted them as well. It's, if we can measure an impact, we're already so far ahead of the game because there's an impact we can't see.
Oh, that's such a great analogy. I love that.
I've never shared that. I don't know where that came from, but it was great.
That's really good. So you got to save that one. But
I'm writing that down for my podcast. I'm going to use that.
You turn that into a whole episode. Right?
I'm ready. Iceberg impact. Got it.
Boom. You heard it here first, guys. I love it. All right. So around these parts, we do not believe in the word balance. # living well-rounded. However, you are running a business empire. You're a mom. You shared that you're homeschooling, wife, all the things. And so I'm curious to know, Jessica, what is your definition of living well-rounded?
Grace upon grace upon grace.
So quick.
No, I think for me too, this has been a struggle before. I feel like, I don't want to say like, I feel like I'm getting good at this because I still question myself on it all the time. But well-rounded for me is asking for help in all areas of my life, right? Business, personal, like, yes, we homeschool, but I also have a part-time nanny who helps me. So don't think that I'm super mom. And like, yes, I love my business. It is runs very well, but I also have a team of like 6 people helping me. I have had to, I've understand that if I want to be successful in just more than one area of my life, that I need to be willing to ask for help. And I need to know that I can't do it myself. And because of that, because of the support in personal and professional, all areas, that I'm able to show up as my best in those areas. Oh, I asked for a lot of help.
Oh my gosh. But that is honestly the essence of what my message is for this show, is that you can do great things, but you don't have to do them alone. And so the importance of building your team doesn't always have to be in your business. What support do you need in your home? And so I'm always coaching on that, have courses on it about not feeling guilty about asking for help so that you can thrive in the areas where you know you're supposed to be. And so I just love that you shared that message of asking for help and you have a team. And the crazy part is when you look back to your 18, 19-year-old self, look at you now. And again, you used your gifts and your message to get to a point where you have built a business, you do have a team, you are impacting lives. And that's just a beautiful space to be in for sure.
It is. And I think we can get so in our head about asking for help of like, well, we're not doing it. Like, I'm not a good mom if I have somebody helping with my kids, or I'm not a good business owner if I need help, but we're blessing other people with jobs. We're allowing them to provide for their families. And we gotta stop being so selfish.
Preach. I speak often about that on the show. Like, you don't realize that you're also blessing other families. And you, even when you hire in your business, people that are smarter than you in a certain capacity, it's just awesome because you work faster, better. They love that type of work. So you get to help them do what they love to do.
And
So
I hate it. I hate that work. So
right.
Take it.
It's a win-win. Like, what are you doing? Wake up, outsource, people delegate, build the team. And so I want to know, one of our last questions here before we get into something fun, what are you most looking forward to in this next season of your life?
I think I'm just where my youngest just turned 3. And I feel like we're just now we're out of the diapers, right? We're out of the baby phase. We're not having any more. Our family is done. We are. And I'm just so like, I feel like now we're at the place where you see the light of doing more as a family, where we're all included, even the little guy. And I'm so excited. We just did a little staycation last weekend, and it was just so different. Like, now that he's at this age where he's more independent of letting them run around on the beach and just play in the pool, and less of all the baby gear and all the things. So if you're in that season, like, I'm thinking of you, Mom. But I'm just really looking forward to more activities as a family.
I love that. I have an 11-year-old and almost 7-year-old. So it's cool because we're starting to get back on the same wavelength, where some things were too mature for her.
Yes.
And he wasn't there yet. So now when we travel and do things, we can kind of be on the same wavelength. So that's a fun space to be in.
Like, that's where I'm feeling. Like, it's when I was like seeing that this weekend of like, he's getting big enough to play with her, and
right.
Oh, it's just going to be a great time.
Your kids are also 5 years apart.
Yeah, she's about to be 8 and he just turned 3. Yeah. Perfect.
Same here.
Yeah.
So it's a situation, but we're coming out of the trenches. So
yes, I see it. I see the light.
Yeah, I love that. All right. So for the past 5 seasons, we have ended the show with my favorite rapid fire segment. It is a segment that allows our well-rounders to get to know you on a personal level. So, Jessica, are you ready for rapid fire?
I am ready. Fire away.
All right, here we go. And this is funny. The first question kind of relates to what we were just talking about. If you could hire a personal chef, once-a-week cleaning service, or a personal driver, which one would you hire, Jessica?
Cleaning all day.
I hear you.
I mean, these little people make mess.
Yes, absolutely. Are you more of a European vacay or Caribbean getaway type of
Caribbean? Guy? I'm a Florida gal, and my mom's born in Cuba. Like, Caribbean all day.
There it is. Passenger or driver?
Passenger.
Same here. Should someone call you or send you a text message if
they should never call? Like, they should deactivate that feature on my phone.
That's so funny. And I'm actually the opposite. If you call me, then I can, real quick and keep it moving. Text is going to
sit there.
It's going to sit there for a minute. Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix. I like to binge.
Yes. I poor thing. Pandemic set me up.
I know. Watched a lot of stuff.
Yeah, too much. What is your favorite guilty pleasure?
Is pizza a guilty pleasure? Because it really is my favorite.
Pizza is life. It doesn't have to be a guilty pleasure.
Okay, done. Day made.
On this earth for a reason. We eat pizza all day, every day in this household. So you're good. You're good there.
I'm coming over.
Rich friend or loyal friend?
Loyal all day.
I agree with you there.
But if my loyal friend has a boat, I'm not mad.
Loyal friends, rich friends. Can I have all types of I love it. What is something on your bucket list?
Actually, I would love, like, we've watched shows and I want to go see a show on Broadway. I've never seen a show like on Broadway, and it sounds like that's all I want to go do.
Oh, I'm sure you'll be doing that really soon, now that things are opening back up. So you're good to go.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Yes. So I just loved our chat today and the time that we had together. And I just know someone listening is definitely going to learn so much from you. And so where can our well-rounders keep up with you on the web?
Yeah, I'm really easy to find just about everywhere. Jessica Rasdall. You can find me at jessicarasdall.com. Hang out with me on Instagram. I'm probably the most active in my DMs over there. But if you are somebody who is really looking to start adding speaking to your business and you're trying to figure out which one of those 1, 2, or 3 you kind of fit into, I'd love for you we have a really short quiz that you can take. It's at howtostartspeaking.com. Really easy to remember. But it's like 10 questions and it will help you figure out, should I be using speaking to build brand awareness? Should I be using it for conversions? Do I want to be a professional speaker? And it'll give you a plan customized on your unique business and your message.
Ooh,
totally free. Just answer 10 questions.
Yes. And I will definitely link it in the show notes and over on our website. And you guys, don't be afraid to reach out. DM, let her know you heard her here on the show, and just step into your uniqueness. Use your message to bless somebody as well. So Jessica, thank you for hanging out. This was amazing. And I will also be saying hi to you over on IG.
Thank you so much for having me. This was such a treat.
All right. We'll catch up soon. Bye. That was such a great chat with our special guest, Jessica. Be sure to head over to IG and say hello. Also, the show notes will include the link for the quiz that she mentioned, and you can also stay connected with everything that our team has going on over in the Living Well-Rounded community. So show notes has everything that you need. You can find everything on our website and the blog. And if you enjoyed today's episode, I hope you head over to iTunes and drop a 5-star rating and leave us a quick review. It means so much to us, and I just cannot thank you enough for tuning in for our season 6 premiere. Until next time, friend, you know the drill. Stay safe, stay positive, and focus on what matters most. Bye.
Thanks for kicking it with us, Well-Rounder. Share this goodness with your squad and drop us a quick review. Get notified of new episodes by hitting the subscribe button. Until next time, seek a well-rounded life and remember to focus on what matters most.